Hey, Sassy Stuff. I'm Sierra alongside Molly, and today we are previewing another big matchup, Auburn versus Baylor for week 1. Another non-cupcake game. We just love seeing these Power Four matchups, don't we, Molly?
I love it. I love seeing, like you and I were just talking about before we started recording, like it really does expose teams very early on in the season. I think when you're playing, strength of schedule is so important in these times. And I think like last season we saw so many cupcake games in the beginning. It was really hard to tell who could take on, being in the playoffs or the SEC championship or even a national championship because there were just so many cupcake games. So I'm liking this schedule a little bit more than I liked last year's schedule so far.
Yes, I agree. I think it's a great opportunity for teams to see what works and what doesn't. And what's so great about the expanded college football playoff is that you're not penalized if you lose one game. It's okay, especially if you're playing against another Power Four team. It might look like a good loss, which no losses are good, but in the eyes of the committee, it shows that this team is not afraid to put themselves out there. So that's what I really like about this matchup. Auburn will be playing in Waco, Texas. So that'll be really exciting. And it's an opportunity for Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold, who transferred from Oklahoma, to really showcase his skills. Last year at Oklahoma, they struggled a bit, but because they lost so many starting wide receivers, and Auburn has loaded up in the wide receiver room. I'm really excited to see Cam Coleman at Auburn. I think this is going to be a breakout year for him. He had 8 touchdowns as a freshman. He was hurt through most of the year. He had a shoulder injury, and in his last 3 games, he had 6 touchdowns. So he's my player to watch. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Every school wanted him. Auburn was the one that sealed the deal. And he was also featured in the SEC documentary on Netflix. And I'm just excited to see how he does and what his chemistry is going to be like with Jackson Arnold this year.
I think it's a good fit too for Auburn last year. They had a little while where they couldn't pick a QB. Like it was just Auburn really didn't have a set team going into last year's schedule. And I think that's why Auburn did struggle the way that they did last year. They were kind of the forgotten team of the SEC last year just because they didn't have a QB1. They rotated. And they just ultimately did not have any rhythm throughout the season. So I think this is a good pairing for Auburn just because they have, obviously, this is not a cupcake game, but I do think they have a more strengthened roster this year. And I think they have a little bit more talent coming onto the team. I love that they got the Friday night spot. Like they are one of the first games of the entire season here. Friday night, 7 p.m. in Texas. I think, they are obviously on the road week 1. So I would love to see how they work as a team on the road. Those are obviously the more tough games to handle. But I am seeing a very bright future for Auburn in this one.
Molly, is this a make or break game for Hugh Freeze? He hasn't had the best past few seasons. Auburn in general, Auburn fans are just yearning for a successful season, a college football playoff appearance. They do not want to be known as Alabama's younger brother, even though Alabama hasn't been perfect as of lately with Saban gone. But this is a time for Auburn to become the team of the state of Alabama. And with a win over Baylor, it shows the country that Auburn is in the driving seat and they're a team to watch.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily like it's a make or break game for them. I do think, like we were just talking about, how you can afford to lose a game in the SEC right now, just with the way that everybody's schedules are aligned for playoffs. But I do think it sets the tone for Auburn for the season. It's like if you can't come out of the gate swinging on this first road game, like I don't. What are we doing? What is this? And like you said, I think it is their year to kind of claim Alabama. Alabama's been a little shaky. They're predicted, to be an SEC championship contender this year, so they've got a lot of competition here with Alabama. I would prefer to see Auburn do better than Alabama, just on a personal note. I'm not a huge Bama fan. So, but, this isn't a make or break game. I do think, just to take a little bit of pressure off of them, but it does set the tone for them as a team, even mentally. Like if you can't win this game, I don't know where it leaves your players and even your coaching staff on that road back home to gear up for week 2.
The Big 12 is a bit all over the place. And so this game is an opportunity for Baylor to show that they are that team as well. And they have some weapons too. Bryson Washington, the running back from Baylor, he was a star freshman last year. He broke the freshman record for Baylor, rushing for over 1,000 yards in 11 games, and he started every single game. And so to see a running back like that go against Auburn is going to be really interesting because Auburn also is really strong in the run defense. That's something they were really good at last year. In 2024, they only allowed 3 yards per carry. So going up against a star running back like that is definitely going to be an opportunity for both teams to see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, and Baylor definitely has the upper hand in a sense here. They have a returning quarterback, Sawyer Robertson, having thrown 28 touchdowns last season. So, I just look at it and I'm like, Baylor definitely has the upper hand just because they have seniority in the situation. You've got Auburn who is still kind of working through trying like they've kind of got their stuff going now, but I think coming off such a rocky season, it's going to be interesting for an opening game like this. But I do think Baylor has a little bit of the upper hand. I am going to favor Baylor in this. That's just going to be my opinion. A secret that I'm willing to share. I was born a Baylor Bear.
Oh,
I was born at Baylor in Plano. There's all these photos of me as a newborn and the Baylor Bear. Like I got
oh
so
wow.
even though I was born into a Longhorn family, I was born a Baylor Bear. So there's a little bit of personal, like, I don't know, maybe I would want them to win, but I do think they have the upper hand. I think they've got a returning team, a returning quarterback. I think that shows so much leadership, and it's great seeing them have that for them. But defense is concerning. They didn't have a great year defensively last year, so yeah, it could swing here. Um, but obviously, Baylor also just has the upper hand because they're playing at home. It's the opening Friday night, 7 p.m. It's like nostalgic. It's the atmosphere of the Baylor fans is crazy. There's not much else to do in Waco, so everybody's going to be at this game, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Baylor, like you said, their quarterback Sawyer Robinson has that experience. And also he has the weapons like Josh Cameron, who had 10 touchdowns last year, and also Alabama transfer Kobe Prentice. So definitely interested to see how that connection works. With the transfer portal, you just never know if there's going to be chemistry or whatnot.
Well, and according to DraftKings, this is obviously a rumor, but it could be a thing. Um, Auburn Tigers quarterback Jackson Arnold, who's the transfer from Oklahoma that we were just talking about, does lack a firm hold on the starting job here. There could be multiple QBs being used in this game. And that kind of takes us back to last season with Auburn, where when you don't have a consistent lineup here, I don't think the players mesh well, and there's no rhythm. There's just it's tough to get into a winning season when you are constantly rotating out players. So I'm interested to see if that's just a rumor or maybe Jackson's gonna be their QB1 for this game, and that's solid. I don't know. That's just what DraftKings is reporting.
Yeah, and that honestly concerns me because a lot of coaches, if they're sure who their quarterback is going to be, you're going to openly say he's the guy. And why are we saying that Jackson Arnold is not the guy? He came from Oklahoma to Auburn not to sit the bench. He came to Auburn to be the starting quarterback of the Auburn Tigers. And so that really concerns me. It's like, what's going on? Is there an injury? Is he not meshing with his wide receiver group? Or is there another backup that's kind of shown some promise? We don't know. Or it could just be a decoy thrown by Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, you never know. And obviously, the Auburn defense is like a very high caliber SEC defense. So that is the upper hand for them, is that even if their offense is a little swaying a little, I think defensively they have such a solid team and a solid coach on the defense. However, you can't win games if you can't score. So at the end of the day, their defense can be great, and Baylor has an amazing offense. So maybe this is a great matchup for them. Um, but if they can't score and they're trying out different plays with different QBs and different lines, I don't see that being in favor for Auburn here.
Yeah. So you have Baylor winning this one.
I have Baylor winning this one. I think it's going to be really, really close, though. Like, I think within a point. And I do think it's going to be lower scoring. So I'm going to say 13-14.
Interesting. I am way on the opposite. I think it's going to be a little not super high scoring, but I do think Auburn pulls it off. I think they have the weapons to do that. I think if Jackson Arnold isn't the quarterback, obviously that's going to change some things, but I believe he has the experience, maybe not at Auburn, but college football experience at the highest level. And I think that just with Cam Coleman, all the hype around him, I'm really excited. I talked about it earlier. 5-star recruit in the state of Alabama, and he goes to Auburn. Like, there's a reason why he believes in this team. So I've got Auburn winning this in Waco, and Hugh Freeze finally, maybe his hot seat isn't as hot. It's slightly lukewarm if he gets a win like this. So I have 28-27 Auburn.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, Auburn does need clarity on their QB1, just to remain that consistency that they didn't have last year. So I think they need to figure that out pretty quick in this season. But Baylor, leveraging some offensive firepower early, the pressure of Auburn on both sides of the ball, it'll just feed off the home crowd energy this week. So I'm looking forward to it. You guys let us know in the comments what you think. Are you favoring Baylor or Auburn? Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and we will catch you next week with results.